all the different tips and tricks, like with Ajax, that you can do now. So it's really just a form, and it's using the same controller for doing both loading the page and for updating it.
Okay.
So I'd recommend make this an Ajax, load this up, and then do a submit where it's just an Ajax call.
Okay.
And give it a wait symbol, because it can actually take a long time to load all these UDFs. As far as the code goes, it's all in this controller. You've just got to split it as far as when it's loading and when it's not loading.
Okay, sir.
Hopefully it won't be too difficult to do. But that's one of the things on the sprint. That's a lower priority one. If you don't get to it, that particular one, we can hold it off until next time. But that's on our to-do list. And so those are good. Let's go back over to the eSuite side. This actually one will probably take a while. It's only for B1 as well. And it's in the data collect. Basically, it explains it fairly detailed of what they're looking for. You can take a couple of weeks on this one. This one, again, can be a lower priority, but it's one that we want to get done the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks for sure. On the B1 side, there's an expiration date for batch information. And there's probably reference to it in the calls if you go and trace down the controllers of what's happening when you hit the drop down for a batch controlled item. It will go and it'll read the database and return you a drop down of the list of batches that are currently in the SAP system for that particular item and in the location that you're looking for. But what they need to include on that is the expiration date in that drop down. In the future, and if you really want to do it now, you can do it, or in the future, what we're going to have to do is more of a lookup, so where you hit a button instead of a drop down, and it will take you to a larger form that has lots of other pieces of data beyond just the batch information, the bin location. We could have, multiple pieces of, beyond the expiration date, maybe a manufacturer date, and things like that. That would be helpful on the B1 side. But for now, you can just look at it and try and add it into the drop down. Don't break the by design side, because it uses the same type of function calls.
Okay, sir.
If you add anything to it, or make it a different type of control that's not a drop down, or that you can pop up and see a screening and select a different batch on it if you feel like it.
By the way, sir, the in development status, is it assigned right now to?
I think I gave it to Lavina.
Okay. Yeah, good.
But you can feel free to change that if need be.
Okay, sir.
This one, it's another data collect one. Lower priority again, but needs to be done. Let me show you that one. And it's particularly, so when you load up the dashboard here, you have this piece right here. If you log in with an actual user, let me log in with an actual user. It won't have anything under that, but what's wrong? So this one, You could trace down the controllers again to figure out where it's actually getting this date or where it's getting this hours this week. The only problem that it has with it is you can manually go and add in time under the management area for a particular user.
Yeah.
But what it's but this will bring back. So if I add in, let's say on Friday is a holiday. But so what the people do is they'll go in and add in Joe worked 8 hours on Friday, even though it's in the future, and because it's a holiday, they're just putting it in there so that their time comes out correctly. That's interesting here.
Do
But
do
what
they
they
have
don't
a
want to see
calendar, sir?
is on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, they don't want to see Friday's time in hours this week. They
Okay.
want that to be just it has to, that command needs to take into account the current date and not show any hours beyond the current time for hours this week. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Right now, sir.
Oh,
The data collector, does it have a calendar so that we can calculate?
yeah. Well, so I'll give you. Actually, I need a task though. So here's our calendar, and so today is, and if I do M Jones, there won't be any here because I don't have any tasks. But if I add one and say duration 7 hours, so it does better if I just select it. Okay, 7 hours, so 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So this is my time clock. And this is if I'm tying it to a production job, which I don't necessarily have to. But so I'll send that off to SAP like this, and I'll submit it. That was just another summary screen. Okay, so now if I go back to my dashboard, it'll show hours this week now. It should show 7 hours. Okay, 6 hours because it probably went over my lunch break. So and so it shows today's, and I don't have any production time, but hours this week. So what they don't want to happen is now they put in. So let's add in 3 hours. Now this is for Friday, and this part doesn't really matter. I'm just putting it in for let's say paid holiday. Send to SAP. And this is just a summary of how it's going to save it into SAP. I'll submit it. Now, if I go back to my dashboard, it's still going to have my right hours today, but the hours this week is going to be too much. So it's 9. Did I put that in the right day? Is that not even showing that? Maybe there's more bugs to it. Yeah, so apparently today's hours will take all future hours as well. So this one's wrong and this one's wrong for this type of scenario. It probably has the same flaws that today's hours shows all of the future hours, as long as also with the hours this week shows all of the hours this week, even if they're in the future still.
Okay.
So that's that one. And the data collect ones, you can make sure they're lower priority. Okay, the data collect report, export, import for other tenants. So if I come under, I have to log in as an admin user. I can 932.0.72. Has these managed reports areas. And if your database doesn't have any, I can let me know by the next meeting, and I can give you guys at least some test data that you can play around with. This is the report designer that they're using in Luxotto as well. What they need is to be able to take a report that they created and data source. This is the data source component of it. But to be able to export them and then import them into another tenant. Probably export the data source and report all in the same file. Just create a file that they can then bring in, clicking a button here somewhere saying import, and then it'll bring in both the report and the data source.
Okay.
Type of an idea. It's just so that someone doesn't have to recreate the report by going through the report designer and create the data source and everything from the through this drag and drop piece, and then they can back up reports that they make and such. So this is what the reports look like, and this is a preview of it. Of it creating the report. Just so they can print labels and things like that. None of the data showed up because I wasn't using a real item, I'm sure. But that's that task. So those are the data collect. And then we're going back to our IABLE pieces. Let me put them up higher in our list here so these are more of the higher priority ones, and then you can work on the data collector. So the pick screen, I went through and I tested everything. Everything looks really good. With the IABLE side, these are just a couple of things that I wanted tweaked before we release it. And hopefully I can get that out this week. But let's see, let's try. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta go to say P90. Oh. This one's just a little thing, hopefully it won't take long. But on the startup second here. Oh, let's see. I wonder if I should go to the dev version. I probably haven't loaded the dev version on this anyways, but let's have a couple of these. So I might actually have a screenshot in that'll show it. It's easy. I guess not. I updated that one by. Alright. It's probably trying to connect to the system and it probably can't because it's the connection string's out of date on it. But so when you're doing the pick screen lookup, it can take it a little while to load. Particularly, it'll make the call, and then it comes back and it will just sit and spin on a screen. But you'll see. But if they're not paying attention to what their browser is doing, they won't know that it's actually doing anything. So just all I'm looking for is for you to add a wait graphic, graphic that's spinning on the screen so that they know that the Ajax call hasn't come back yet.
Okay.
Or that it's going to load in another screen. So, and then this one I know I put in screenshots for. Here it goes. Sometimes the save to SAP B1 fails for some reason, and I don't know why, but you can drill down into the shipment information into the history. So this is the history view. Add a button for business one only users, only business one tenants, so they can click a button and it will resave the shipment information back to SAP, just like it does when it's doing the actual shipment. And I think there's a pretty good function call to call that. I think all you have to do is pass it the shipment unique ID, and it will take care of the rest. So those are the tasks for this current sprint. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I think for now, sir, in the data collect side, we'll just discuss first. Then,
Yeah.
maybe tonight in our time or tomorrow in your morning, we will send some questions.
Sure. Yep. No problem. And I can do some more walkthroughs for you next time as well. If whoever you're going to have do it, we can make sure that their system is set up with data and such to make that work.
Yeah. By the way, sir, I tried to log in uh, the NBA support SAP by design. So it wasn't. I wasn't able to log in the SAP, sir, by design.
Which one?
The test by design that we used to
Okay. The by
test
design version, is it for eSuite or for data collect?
for a switcher.
eSuite. You have to have eSuite. It are you just running it locally, or are you looking at the dev side, or one of these? This is
Locally,
the
sir.
big screen that needs to have the wait symbol, but it doesn't look like this anymore.
I mean
Sorry, go ahead,
the
Jared.
I mean the SAP account, sir. SAP by design account.
Oh,
The login.
so you're saying you're having problems logging into the front end of it this way?
Yes, sir.
When which user account or which user ID?
The NBA support, sir.
MBS support for my 32072.
Yeah.
Someone probably changed it. Let me see if it's.
And also in the HB SAP, sir.
I don't even show that we have one for this one. I think you should be using Smart User 01 and such. I think so. I think we've got a couple of these for you.
Okay.
Let me copy the username and the password for it. Yeah, I'm putting it into the chat.
Yeah, I saw it, sir.
Okay. All right. So that's that one. So HB's support user. So yeah, for HB, you should use MBS support like so. And this is the password.
Yeah, can you try logging in using that username and password, sir?
Sure. Um, that's the tenant ID for HB. So I'm in. Let me log out and do it again, I guess. But I was in it earlier today.
Okay, sir.
But so this is that's the username and password for it. So it's working for me.
Okay, good.
So hopefully that works for you then. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Yeah. Any other questions on the tasks or getting into those things?
Uh, None for me for now, sir. Maybe Joe, do you have
Okay.
some questions?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. A couple other things coming down the pipe to give you guys a heads up on. I think I mentioned this last time that we're talking about moving over to Azure.
Yes, sir.
And part of it is a two-piece thing with Hangfire and with we're doing a new connection piece. So what we're going to need a lot of help with it to get it to pulled out to get everything ready for it. One of the things that so we have this new branch here, and we're waiting to where we can get this branch to be merged into development, and then we will actually always split these developments with the name of whatever sprint that we're in. So we're going to get a little bit more organized with that. But what this new connection piece is doing is we're taking there's a new connection object and we're using the Hangfire server that you guys are also using over on the Lexoto side, and we're changing all of our syncs over to that type of a service. But what that means is that every sync that we have, like these, we have to rewrite the functions to use the new connection type and Hangfire instead of, and these will actually all go away, all of these projects. And hopefully that'll simplify things a little bit. We'll actually have projects that replace these eventually for production, but for the short term, we're going to make everything run off of the website with Hangfire. So those are other things to look forward to. As soon as we get these last few things done, we'll hopefully next sprint I'll give you some training and information on that.
Okay, sir.
And I am still looking at dates of when I'm going to come out. You guys enjoyed having Curtis and Billy around, I assume?
Yes, sir.
And so I'll be out there with Justin. We're looking tentatively around mid-March for our timeline.
Yeah, looking forward to that, sir.
Yeah, good. So I'll give you some actual dates here. It's too long, I hope. Not too long, but. All right, well, that's everything I've got on my side.
By the way, sir, this bug, sir, example, in our current sprint. So should we create an hotfix for this, or it's just a normal?
Oh, for this one, it's really
Yeah.
this bug. No, just put them in as features. That's really, because it's not it is a bug, but we're gonna go through the normal feature release process with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Where if it was a real bug that required a hot fix, it would be different.
That's not an urgent, sir.
But yeah, it's not urgent.
Okay.
But it is classified as a bug because it should have worked differently than it does. But
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll leave you to it. And JR, don't get too hungry with power with your new responsibilities. But just realize that if we don't make a sprint, it's all your fault, right?
Yes, sir.
Just kidding. But I do appreciate you taking on that because it's too difficult for me to have to be able to guess how busy either any of you are from here, and if you need to rearrange tasks or split tasks and things. I'd rather you guys just make the decision and just do it so that we can keep a better idea of how long sprints are going to take and things like that. So, all right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Talk to you in a couple of days.
Yeah. Talk to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.